of it is a sprout of a new generation. It shows Paul McCartney coming up from the earth, like growing a sprout, a start, a new dawn. I would like to give Paul this unshown. I'm a true fan, and that, you know, and that I wouldn't tear him apart, speak to him like a decent human being, and that he's really the greatest in show business.
It sounds like you have sort of a crush on Paul McCartney.
Yes, that's true.
Hello, this is Paul McCartney.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Way back in the late 50s, before he was a Wing or a Beatle, Paul McCartney was a member of John Lennon's skiffle group, the Quarrymen, a part-time lark that McCartney never dreamed would launch him on his life's work.
Well, I always used to be a bit dodgy because you was always like your father kind of saying, oh, you'll never make a living in music. You know, you've got to have something to fall back on. That's the expression, you know. So you always were encouraged to kind of do your exams and try and sort of learn at school in case it all flopped. But when we first started out, we would be called what you call semi-pro, which was like, you know, you had a little bit of a job just in case, and then in the evenings you'd go and do something and get paid for it. And the idea was always, if that outweighed the day job, yo-ho, you know, that was the moment when you went professional.
McCartney has been many things over the last 3 decades: a hardcore rock and roller, a pure pop star, a trailblazing bassist, and of course the cutest guy in the world's most popular band.
My love don't give me present.
But above all else, from the beginning, he's been a world-class songwriter.
I like the idea of being able to say to people, you know, well, I wrote this, you know, even if it was bad, it was kind of good to enter the group of people who actually wrote something instead of just listen to other people's records. And I tried quite a bit then. John and I started to get together. We used to get off school, play a little truant. I know we shouldn't, but, you know, we were young and foolish. And so we'd go to my house when my dad was at work, no one was in, and we'd sit around trying to write songs, you know, and they were fairly bad, the first few, but then we hit Love Me Do, and that was the first one that started to sound a little bit like a song.
Love me do.
Love Me Do eventually took the Beatles to #1 on the U.S. charts. But in the beginning, even George Martin, the man who went on to produce all of their records, wasn't convinced they'd ever make it.
Love me do.
It wasn't until we actually got into the studio and started working together they really emerged as being pretty brilliant. And they started really thinking about songwriting in a very serious way. So Please Please Me was the first really good track, I think, that came out of them. Up to that moment, I didn't think they could write a hit song.
The very early stuff that John and I wrote was From Me to You, She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, P.S. I Love You, Love Me Do. And that became a conscious thing, Please Please Me. Well, it was very personal, and you were kind of talking to your audience, and it seemed a good thing to do.
Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play.
Beatles music was always an amalgamation of John Lennon's acerbic wit and McCartney's sweeter pop instincts. But in 1965, the group scored its 10th #1 hit with a song McCartney had written on his own. a song that has since been aired in this country alone more than 5 million times and has been covered by more than 2,500 other performers.
It's the strangest one ever, because I dreamed it. That's the strangest thing that ever happened about it yesterday. I haven't had any other song that's happened that way. But I just woke up one morning and just... It's like a film, isn't it? But I really did have this melody and thought, what is that tune? You know, what is that? And I went round to people for about 2 weeks saying, listen, what's this? I said, it's good, I don't know. I think they thought I was trying to sell it them. But in the end, after about 2 weeks, everyone said, well, I don't know what it is. And I said, well, I must have written it then.
How do you comment on the production that we're seeing in the concert?
That's the truth.
By the time he was 23, McCartney was a key member of the most popular band in the world, a group that had recorded some of the most influential records in rock history. He had starred with the Beatles in 2 trend-setting movies, and the future seemed bright, to say the least. But even in the midst of all the cultural excitement of the mid-1960s, McCartney says he was ready for a change.
I just originally had an idea, which I put to the guys, and I said, look, you know, we were getting a little bit fed up of Beatles, and I said, well, it might be a good release for us all if we pretended we're another band, you know, the Schlumbergers, and we can do it. But I'd thought of this name, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And I said, maybe if we call ourselves that and think of ourselves as that, when John goes to do a vocal, instead of thinking, oh, here's a John Lennon vocal or he's having trouble with it, I could just say to him, well, think how this guy might do it, you know. And it just freed you up. You just went, oh, yeah. And it just took a little burden off you, took a pressure off your head, you know. Just allowed you to have a lot of fun. It was definitely an album of the times, you know.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better.
By the time of the Beatles' White Album in 1968, it became clear that McCartney and Lennon were heading in separate artistic directions.
You can start to make it better.
By 1970, when their Let It Be album was finally released, it was clear that the Beatles had reached the end of the road.
Speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
And this was Let It Be, which was a great album and stuff, I think. It was a strain to do, though, because the whole album, the Beatles were breaking up at this point. So it was quite heavy, you know, doing that film and doing that. What you see on the film is what we were going through, you know, kind of arguing in front of a camera and stuff. It was real, you know, it was real life. I think it made a pretty good film because of that, but it wasn't what we set off to do, let's put it like that.
You know, Paul and I were talking about the past not long ago, and I said to him, you know, Paul, sometimes I look back and I think that there's other people doing it. You know, I see myself as a young man working with you, and it's like looking at a picture of somebody else. He said, you know, I feel like that too. He said, I feel that we didn't really do it, somebody else did it. And if you started believing what other people think of you, then you'd get very big-headed, and it isn't true anyway, because a lot of luck was involved with it.
And if I said I really knew you well, what would your answer be? If you were here today, here today.
I was wondering, you know, if I would write anything connected with John's death. And for a while I just thought, well, you know, there's nothing coming to me at all. But I sat down one day, was just strumming along, and that was the sort of idea that occurred to me, was like that if John was here today, I think of myself just as me, you know. I mean, I don't have to analyze me like you guys do. It's not my job, you know. I can just be. And so I don't kind of go around thinking, good morning, ex-Beatle. Get up, ex-Beatle. You know, it doesn't. But I definitely was in the Beatles, and they were a great group. So I don't like, you know, it doesn't bug me at all. But I just get on with things. I don't go around analyzing it.
first solo album, released in 1970, 2 weeks before the last Beatles LP, spawned the pop standard Maybe I'm Amazed. The following year, he and his wife, the American photographer Linda Eastman, recorded an album called Ram, which yielded the chart-topping hit Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Encouraged by this success, McCartney formed his first post-Beatles band, Wings, and embarked on a short British university tour, during which he discovered that running his own show was nowhere near as simple as he'd imagined it would be.
I suddenly realized I'd never put a band together before, because I joined the Beatles when it was a band. John had a band going, and they asked me to join, and then I asked George to join, and then afterwards Ringo joined. So it was funny, in the middle of Wings, I suddenly thought, I can't do this. I don't know how you do this, you know. But it worked out okay.
Indeed it did. Wings hit its stride as a group in 1973 with its third LP, Band on the Run. Even without a world tour to back it up, that wouldn't come until 3 years later, this album yielded 3 top 10 hits, Hell on Wheels, Jet, and of course the chart-topping title track.
Band on the run. Band on the run. You think the people would have had enough of silly love songs?
Band on the Run wasn't Wings' last smash hit, though, not by a long shot.
But I look around me and I see it is so.
But apart from the 6 #1 hits he scored with Wings in the 1970s, one of the biggest thrills for McCartney during that period was being asked to write the theme song for the 1973 James Bond feature, Live and Let Die.
If you're a writer, there's always these kind of work jobs that you imagine. I mean, when John and I started off, would you believe, one of our total ambitions was to write a song for Frank Sinatra. I mean, which I don't think writers these days think of. But, you know, things were such in those days, the pinnacle of what you could do was to write for Sinatra. One of the other pinnacles of what you could do became to write a Bond song. It just became one of those things, you know, hey, it's like an Oscar or something, you know. You've been asked to write the Bond song, it's quite an honor.
Listen, I'd like to hand you over now for a few words from my friend, Mrs. and better half, Linda.
Thank you very much. This next song is about a British secret agent, and it's full of foreign intrigue. Woohoo! It's called Live and Let Die.
Well, he expects me to be up to par, really. I mean, I'm part of the group, and they're good musicians, you know, and warmth and friendship. That's why I'm there, really. I'm not there because I'm the greatest keyboard player. I'm there because we love each other. But I've got to deliver the goods. I can't just... In Wings, I was innocent, and you know, so they say I sang out of tune, big deal. Most punks do, and I love punk. I like rough. I like a rough edge. I don't like perfect and beautiful, so I fit in nicely. I'm the rough edge.
Say, live and let die.
Heading into the 80s, McCartney scored #1 duet hits with Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, and got slagged by critics for his soft pop sweetness. But whenever he walked out on a stage, his commitment to the hardcore American rock and roll he'd grown up on remained clear.
We're obsessed with the States. You ask most English guys who they like, and they'll mention people like Motown, people like Elvis, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, all the early rock and roll. For us, that's the States, you know, where it all came from. Rock and roll, if you think about it, there's no rules. No one's ever told any of us guys how to sing. Because it's like blues and black, and it's all from that, you know. We just heard these guys, and you emulate them. Liverpool, being a port, saw this music sooner than some of the other people in England, some of the more inland places. So maybe that's why we kind of had this early interest in kind of black roots soul music, you know, that we then developed to our own sort of style and kind of sold it back to you. But then you guys got infatuated with what we're doing, so it's great. It's a two-way street, you know, no problem.
my name is Paul, and I'm better than you all. I got more dough than you're ever gonna show.
Now that I'm alone again, I can't stop breaking down again. The simplest things set me off again. Take me to that place.
By the end of the 80s, McCartney was reaching out for a new collaborator, someone with whom he hoped he might recapture a bit of the magic he'd once shared with his old partner, John Lennon. He finally settled upon another native Liverpudlian, the acerbic ex-punk Elvis Costello.
That's it. My brave face, I've been doing around, unaccustomed as I do this luxury life. I've been hitting the town, only you didn't it back.
I found some sort of echoes of working with John.
Because he's a Liverpudlian also? Or?
He's Liverpudlian, he's got this sort of straightforward approach, straight from the shoulder, will give you his opinion very easily.
I've really enjoyed writing with him. I learned a lot about, by having to explain myself. The ideas bounce back and forward, and that's, you know, the way I think you should work with somebody. If you work too deliberately and you're afraid to criticize each other, you're not going to get anywhere. You've got to be able to go, no, that's rubbish, you know, can't say that. And you haven't got to be afraid to do that. And any other considerations of who he is and what he's been have to go out the window.
My brave, my brave, my brave face.
McCartney's collaborations with Costello appeared on Flowers in the Dirt, an album for which he assembled a whole new band, and liked the musicians so much, he decided to keep them together.
You got me running in a figure of eight. Don't know where I'm coming or going, I'm very only.
We just didn't want to put it down. We just didn't want to kind of go our separate ways and say, okay, thanks for making the album, goodbye. It felt like we should keep this together, you know, even just for the jokes, which were pretty lame, but you know, they amused us. There's the one about the snail that got mugged by two tortoises. They went to the police station, and the policeman said, well, tell me in great detail, you know, what happened. He said, I couldn't, it all happened so fast. These were the types of jokes that attracted me to these boys.
The 60s were long gone by now, along with the Beatles, but the audience for McCartney and his music remained huge. And so once again, at the age of 47, Paul McCartney hit the road.
And I love the fact that people haven't seen us before. I think that's great, because I've got a lot of kind of young nephews or nieces who kind of say, you know, please play, because we weren't there the first time around. And I really like that idea. And I think a lot of the 60s stuff anyway is coming back, so it seems like a good time to do that.
We got a bunch of songs together and started playing them in various orders. We were actually going to open the show with Saw Her Standing There, which was just great fun. We thought, this little Hofner bass, and Saw Her Standing There, a great opening number and stuff. But I was driving one night and I just thought, now it's like, it's as if we're not proud enough of our new material. I really thought it'd be a cop-out. It's like a betrayal of the new material to just kind of, hey, just totally do the Beatles stuff. You can't just sort of betray one period because people like another period.
Well, you got me dancing in a figure of eight. Don't know if I'm coming or going, I'm burning your legs. Round and round the ring I go. I gotta know, I gotta know.
You know, when musicians like what you do, when fans like what you do, I find that more important than when critics like what you do, because they're fickle. Critics, you know, they'll just, I mean, it's their job, you know, that's fair enough for them, but I try to not get too involved in criticism. I think, you know, maybe some of the stuff that critics have downed of mine might come through one of these days. It might just be that it's not as obvious, that it's not as accessible. It might be okay, you know, I don't know. I've got a sneaking feeling that some of the songs will be kind of rediscovered. But the main thing is if the audience likes it, you know, the people you're playing to like it, that's the favorite.
I don't try and analyze too much. I think it's dangerous. It's like believing your own myth, you know? Your own myth. I try and keep away from all that. You know, I just try and write instinctively and hope it comes out right.
Give me your hand, I'd like to shake it. I want to show you I'm your friend. Put it there, if it weighs a ton. That's what a father said to his young son.
Well, obviously we can't keep playing the same sort of music until we're about 40, because when we're sort of old men playing From Me to You, nobody's going to want to know it's all about that sort of thing. So, you know, we've thought about it, and probably the thing that John and I will do will be write songs as we have been doing as a sort of sideline now. We'll probably develop that a bit more, we hope. Who knows, at 40 we may not know how to write songs anymore.
As the 1990s got underway, McCartney's quarter-century of chart hits and sold-out concerts were saluted by the American music industry with a special Grammy Award for what it called his lifetime achievement.
I say this whole thing for me has been like a bit of a dream anyway, my whole career to this date, my whole life to this date, in fact. But I'd like to just thank Linda and my kids for being incredible support to me. I love them. I'd like to thank my mum and dad, without whom I'd like to thank you all for being in my dream.